this YouTube channel has a Discord server. If you want to go further down the rabbit hole and chat with various weird, wonderful, and interesting people about personality types and much more, then feel free to join us there. The link for it is down below. 16 personalities as paradoxes. ESTP, the Unstoppable Force Paradox. What happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object? Will it destroy the universe? Will they, as some people say, pass right through each other? Well, this question is exactly what confronts ESTPs when their forceful nature comes up against the roadblocks of life. ISTP, the Mpemba Paradox. Hot water can, under certain conditions, freeze faster than cold water, even though it must pass the lower temperature on the way to freezing. ISTPs are a conflicting and curious combination of sometimes hot-tempered, yet cold and calculating other times. It's like they run so hot that they can become icy. INFJ, the Fermi Paradox. If the universe is big, perhaps infinitely big, then the chances of other life forms out there should be a certainty. If that's the case, where the hell are they? Why haven't we heard from them? INFJs sometimes care more about the big questions of humanity as a whole rather than specific individuals, such as the confusing nature of being people-focused, intuitive introverts. ENFJ, the Paradox of Tolerance. This paradox suggests that if a society is too tolerant, it may eventually be overrun by the intolerant, leading to the seemingly counterintuitive idea that, in order to maintain a tolerant society, the society must be intolerant of intolerance, something that ENFJs sometimes learn the hard way. ENTP, the Sorites Paradox. When does a single grain of sand turn into a heap of sand? When does a heap turn into a mound? When does a mound turn into a hill? This paradox draws attention to the non-discrete and downright vague nature of language and, well, life itself. It is in this vagueness that ENTPs make a great deal of mischief. INTP, Schrödinger's cat. This describes a situation where something is simultaneously in two states until observed, which is one of the iconically weird features of quantum physics. INTPs desire to know, to have settled truth elucidated. They can pursue this pathologically at times, yet, alongside this, they are at complete ease with uncertainty. They can paint with precision, yet their palette can also contain infinite shades of grey. ISFJ, the Grandfather Paradox. If you go back in time and prevent your grandfather from meeting your grandmother, you would never be born. But then, who travelled back in time in the first place? ISFJs are ever cognizant of how the past is still rippling in its influence in the here and now. It is not something that should be messed with, and, well, neither are your grandparents. ESFJ, Hilbert's Paradox of the Grand Hotel. If a hotel with infinitely many rooms is full, it can still take in more guests by moving each of them to the next room along. A perfect paradox for a type, possibly struggling with trying to satisfy infinite numbers of people. Only an ESFJ would invoke infinity for the sake of accommodating others. ENTJ, the Inventor's Paradox. Imagine you have a super advanced calculator that can solve really tough math problems. You might find this calculator can't solve simple math problems, like 2 plus 2, because it's designed to tackle the big, complex problems. Instead, you might need to frame it as part of a more complex problem. Sometimes, by looking at the broader picture, you can more easily find solutions to smaller, specific issues within it. The ability to solve many problems by thinking globally in big picture terms is an ENTJ specialty. INTJ, expecting the unexpected. Planning ahead, preternatural foresight, and giraffe necking around corners, INTJs like to look ahead and get their predictions right, thereby giving them a competitive advantage over most. But when INTJs start to see out-of-left-field possibilities, it becomes normal to them, which in turn makes them seem abnormal to others, at least for a while, until they're proven right. ISFP, Buridan's arse, or donkey, if you like. A hungry and thirsty donkey is placed equidistant between hay and water, yet dies of hunger and thirst as it cannot make a logical choice to choose one over the other. Such is the paralyzing nature of being torn between different and seemingly equal desires in life, something that ISFPs can struggle with. ESFP, the Paradox of Hedonism. The paradox of hedonism is the idea that intrinsically desiring nothing other than pleasure can prevent one from obtaining pleasure. After a certain point, it loses any meaning. ESFPs like to be led by desire in life. They see the wisdom in following inspiration and energy, but sometimes it's better to resist, even when other options feel so right by comparison. ENFP, the Paradox of Choice. The paradox of choice suggests that having too many options actually limits our freedom, since choosing is hard, and even overwhelming at times. ENFPs want it all available to them. unfettered liberty, but this can result in them getting very little for their efforts. INFP, the Ship of Theseus. This is a thought experiment about whether an object, in this case a ship, which has had all of its original components replaced bit by bit over time, remains the same object. INFPs embody this confluence of searching for and remaining their true selves, whilst also changing and evolving. You might meet them after not seeing them for a few years and find them completely unrecognizable, but to them, they are still as authentically them as they were before. ISTJ, the Arrow Paradox. This paradox posits that an arrow in flight is always at a fixed position at any given instant of time, suggesting it never moves. ISTJs might come across as rigid and fixed in certain ways, but their incremental advancements often go unnoticed. When you step back and see their progress, it can be remarkable. ESTJ, the Barber Paradox. A barber shaves everyone in town, but who shaves the barber? ESTJs are frequently doing on behalf of those around them, but who does for them? Who looks after the person? Who looks after people? Sometimes ESTJs need someone to be their ESTJ, the Love Who Paradox. One watches a video, perhaps many videos, on a YouTube channel, yet, paradoxically, doesn't subscribe.